We have a question from Ernesto. I recently lost my father to cancer, and with the pandemic, I wasn't able to be near him. It has been a difficult time. I walk with you, Ernesto. I wasn't there for either of my parents' deaths, and it was hard. Have you had to deal with unbearable loss? If so, how did you approach your exercise program? I imagine there'll be no one size fits all, but you're as wise as you are strong. Thank you. You are kind as you are knowledgeable, and I respect and look up to you greatly. Just recently in Pocket, they had an article about Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And of course, if you see the movie All That Jazz, they make fun of her stages of grief. When I did that grief therapy, I took courses in grief therapy with my old job. I took a lot of courses with that job. And we were taught some very important things about grief, and really, you've already hinted on it. The problem with Kubler-Ross's stages of grief, like especially with me, number one is denial. I have never, last summer my nephew called me up when I was in England and said, Uncle Danny, my dad just died. I didn't say no, I said, oh, it's tragic. But those of us who studied a lot of grief and some of these other things, there's really two things. And the first one is there is no process of grief. But you need the second one to understand that. And that grief is more like a roller coaster. Man, if you're in grief, you can be fine and then something sets you off. We had a woman talk about the fact that one day a school bus went by and she began to cry hysterically. Well, when she thought about it later on, the back of her mind knew that this would have been her child's first grade year, and the child would have been on a school bus. Now, she had lost a child, I think 5 years before, had been fine, and out of nowhere, something made her cry. And I like that. Well, I like the fact that she shared it with us, Ernesto, of course. But the other thing is, it just reminded me of those weird things that happen during the walk with grief. And I always use walk with on that. That comes from Luke chapter 24, where they walked for 7 miles, which is a long walk. I mean, I certainly have walked 7 miles in my life, and it's hard to do quickly. Grief is hard to go through quickly. I can't give you a magic pill or a magic wand. You're going to have to walk with it for a while. And there's going to be times where you feel like you haven't thought of your father in a while, and then the next moment you'll have a moment where you're kind of guilty for not have thought about him for a while. I was at a workshop years ago, and they told us that it takes 18 months to get over a divorce, and that some of us at our table talked about in the break, because they said that it took less time to get over the death of a spouse. And I made the joke at the time that dead people don't call you. So when you get a divorce, there's always issues that just keep rambling. So grief from a divorce can be radically different than the grief you're going through. Yeah, is there one size fits all? No. But a couple of things, you're gonna have some feelings of loss, Ernesto. You're gonna miss, I don't know what it's like in your family, but in our family it'd be like Thanksgiving, birthdays, Christmas, Super Bowl, and you're gonna have those events that you have to kind of go through. When my mom died, I called, because I was still at Utah State. I called during Thanksgiving, and my sister-in-law said, I keep thinking I'm going to walk into her as I go around the corner. And I remember thinking how that touched me. You're going to reach, something good's going to happen, Ernesto. You're going to reach for the phone, and there's no one to call. So, yeah, I know these are random thoughts, but Ernesto, they're random thoughts from a guy who's walking with you. I wish I could, I kind of wish sometime that I did have more insights about grief. But the truth is, most of us will live the bulk of our lives in some kind of grief. When you graduate from school, there's a grief process of the loss of that schedule, those friends, those professors, those teachers, the football team, the whatever. When you move from one house to another, when you move into the new house, one of the first things you'll realize is what an advantage you had in the old house with, I don't know. So we're constantly dealing with minor and major griefs in our lives. Just know, though, you're not alone. Many of us have gone through this before. In fact, I think it was Gandhi who said, go find the person in the world who's never grieved, because that person doesn't exist. I walk with you, Ernesto.